Hey, what's up, folks? Just wanted to shoot this quick video on skin and skincare, skin health, and the importance of it. We all want to look good, right? And what really led me down this path was the fact that I had, like, starting in the ninth grade, cystic acne. And I think the first one I got was like right here. Never will forget that. It was like a bump that was about that long, and then maybe about that wide, if you will. Maybe not that wide, but it was big enough to notice. Right there on the third eye, ironically. Wow. It's like you can't make this stuff up. But anyway, um, and I just started years of having breakouts. And I would not get like regular breakouts. I would get cystic acne, which is essentially like you'll get a cluster of pimples and then it'll just start to swell around that area. Matter of fact, I just got one here recently because I was eating all crazy and stressed out. And had to pay the price. So it was like that big, maybe in terms of the diameter, if you will. And then they swell up. And then at times, and they're painful. Those things hurt too. So it's like physically hurt. Um, to where, you know, for the most part, I had gotten to a point where I was doing a pretty good job with it. But I will notice that if I'm not taking care of myself or if I'm not eating right, if I'm not getting enough sleep, if I'm stressed out like I was recently, which caused that, and that's where it shows up, and it sucks. I mean, it sucks because even during like high school, truth be told, I missed a lot of school in my ninth grade year because I was so self-conscious. I was skipping school left and right because my skin was breaking out all over the place. And like the year before, in the eighth grade, I don't know what it was. The stars were aligned, whatever. But the women in my eighth grade, and I had just transferred to that school, they loved me. I'm talking about some of the most beautiful women in the school wanted me. So for me to go from that to the ninth grade and having all these breakouts to where I was like really reluctant and didn't even want to leave the house, it was tough, you know? And then it continued on throughout high school and even into my adult years, obviously up until now. And I have long since removed from being in high school. So the main point to this is there are natural solutions. You know, I went to the dermatologist for years around the time when I was in high school. None of that crap worked. And I tried the thing that they even had a lawsuit around. I think it was Accutane. I tried that for a little while, and that stuff was just really harsh. Tetracycline, antibiotics, you name it, I tried it. None of it worked. And one of the main things that I would hear dermatologists say at that time was that, it's not what you're eating. That doesn't really matter. BS. It does matter. What you put in your body, like they say, you are what you eat. Literally, you are what you eat. So, you know, if you have issues with your skin, and I know how tough that can be, even like emotionally, you know, you want to look good. You know, if you go out on a date, you want to look good. You go to your job, whatever, you know, we all want to present ourselves well, and that's a part of our presentation. And the first thing that people see is this, you know. And you know, I had, you know, scarring and stuff like that because I was letting them use the little lance thing to try to drain the cyst. Not pleasant. Not pleasant at all. And so all that said, I've done a decent job of, you know, helping my skin to recover for the most part. And one of the main points to why there's a skin issue in the first place when you're talking about acne or cystic acne, um, eczema, golly, I mean, you name it. It's even linked to like different forms of herpes, which is can show up as a skin issue, like on the skin. Anything dealing with the skin, uh, I guess you could say warts, whatever, vitiligo, all of that is a blood issue. That's a blood disease, you could say. And essentially what it means is the blood is overly toxic. So the best thing that you can do if you have issues with your skin and your skin is overly toxic is make it a point to go on more of a cleansing diet and have more of a balance with the things that you eat. You know, have some things that you eat that are bitter, you know, like dandelion greens. Um, you can take it in supplement form, but it's better to eat it in a food. Eating a whole food is always better than even the best supplements. And dandelion is bitter, but it's great for the skin because it helps to detoxify the liver. And the liver just stores toxins. And so, uh, and there are other bitter things that you can take as well, which also are great detoxifiers, but that's the one that first comes to mind. You can also do burdock root, which is a powerful herb that cleanses the skin, and it's got a host of other benefits, but that's one of the main things I remember reading about was the benefits that it has on your skin. And also, golly, what's the other one? It always wants to escape me. The one herb that I know pregnant women will take it from time to time. I think it's not red raspberry. It might be rose hips. Anyway, it may come to me and I'll post it maybe in the comments below or whatever. I gotta figure out how to do that first. But also make sure that you're eating, more, fruits and vegetables because those are more alkaline. And try to cut down on the dairy and definitely cut down on refined grains, which are inflammatory. Because most of the time when you're talking about refined grains or grains, period, they have not been soaked and sprouted, making it harder on the digestive system. And typically, when you have issues with your skin, is because you're not breaking down things properly and your blood is just overly acidic. And then if you're constipated, which a lot of times is also a trademark of people that have skin issues, because the skin is the largest organ on the body. So if it's not coming out where it's supposed to come out, when you take a poop, and a lot of times it's actually coming out through your skin because that's the only way it can find a way to get out. And then that shows up in the way of breakouts. So that being said, like Hippocrates said, death begins in the colon. So that's all the more reason why you want to make sure that you're actually eating foods that are in their proper season, and also, making sure you have more of an alkaline balance as opposed to an acidic medium in your gut. Because a lot of times if you're doing a lot of meat, if you're doing a lot of dairy, and the problem with most dairy, and I'm not vegan, but the problem with dairy and even a lot of meat is that it is very processed and pumped with steroids and hormones and antibiotics, and the dairy is pasteurized. And you have people that are like from the Weston A. Price Foundation that really break it down quite well. And I know a lot of vegans won't like this, but the reality of it is if you eat or even drink certain dairy products that are not pasteurized, they're actually going to be better for you. It's not to say that you may not have some issues depending upon the state of health that you're in, but typically, if you have a healthy gut, and that means that you don't have autoinflammation issues, then you can actually consume some meat and some dairy. That said, as best possible, if you're in a space of just kind of cleansing and detoxifying and figuring out what works for you, just do more fruits and vegetables, cut down on the meat, definitely cut down and or eliminate grain altogether. Because like I said, grain is like one of the worst things because a lot of times the grain is sprayed with, glyphosate, which has been linked to cancer. And so generally make sure you can get more of alkaline foods into your body. And think healthy thoughts too, because all diseases start in the mind before they manifest in the physical body. And anytime you're talking about issues with your skin on some level, what I just have to be straight up and acknowledge is that you got to learn the importance of loving yourself and respecting yourself and really being your truth. And most of the time, I would assert for me, what caused a lot of my issues is that most of my life I didn't really say what was there for me. I was not fully self expressed. And out of that, I end up internalizing a lot of stuff and just having this self hate because instead of saying what I really wanted to say, I dumbed it down just so that I could make the people around me happy, being that people pleaser and all that other crap. That's one of the worst things you can do. So, that can never be stepped over. Have an empowering context about who you are and love yourself, respect yourself in terms of what matters to you and what's important to you and speak your truth. Some people may not like it. Big deal. They'll get over it, you know. if it boils down to you being more at peace with yourself, that's priceless. So stand in that, right? So that's really all I really had to share. There's other, the other thing I'll add too, you can do fresh mint and water. It's kind of like an infused water, or you can do fresh cucumbers and water. That's great for the skin as well because it's those like, well, cucumbers actually, I think I want to say it's technically a fruit because it's got seeds in it, but it is very alkaline, so it's great for the skin. So just make sure and that you're doing a lot of those things that are great for helping to keep your blood alkaline, and you'll be good to go. And think healthy thoughts, love yourself, respect yourself, and all the best of health to you. And here's to a beautiful and healthy skin and complexion. Take care.